Have you seen Chuck Norris lately? He's still kicking butt and staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he looks more jacked than ever and seems to have more energy than guys half his age. And it's all thanks to Morning Kick, a revolutionary new daily drink from Roundhouse Provisions that combines ultra-potent greens like spirulina and kale with probiotics, prebiotics, collagen, and even ashwagandha. Just mix with water, stir, and enjoy. Unlike other green drinks out there, this one tastes exactly like strawberry lemonade and has hundreds of 5-star reviews. Go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 for up to 44% off your regular priced order. Plus, every purchase is backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to experience smoother digestion, a boost of energy, and just an overall healthier body, then go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 today. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Results can vary.
Is your vehicle stopping like it should? Does it squeal or grind when you brake? Don't miss out on summer brake deals at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The following podcast may contain discussions supported by science that may be considered dangerous to some listeners and conspiracy theorists. Discretion is advised.
The 3 Down Greencast is brought to you by Lucky Bastard Distillers, Saskatchewan's premier distillery, and by the Pile of Bones Brewing Company, brewed in the heart of Regina. Welcome to the 3 Down Greencast. You are listening to the internet's only hamdog podcast. I'm Joel Gasson with John Fraser, as usual. We have a few things to get to this week, as news came out, of course, that Trevor Harris will not be the starting quarterback, nor will he appear at all in this weekend's first preseason game against Winnipeg Blue Bombers here at Mosaic Stadium.
I'm shocked, not shocked, .gif.
No, I mean, for beyond the football reasons, because we will talk about this for a little bit, but he's expecting another child, so naturally, Harris will not be at that game, and that's just fine. We'll get into that. And some comments made by Craig Reynolds up in Saskatoon over the past week with some of the state of the team address, I guess, as they call it up there. Sort of a mini AGM minus, the financial details that everyone's curious about. And so...
And more shorts, because typically, this is always done at Rider Training Camp where, if you don't wear shorts, you get heat stroke.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially this past year, there's a few days there's been like 30. It's been hot.
And add on some smoke for the lungs, and the guys have been through it. I wouldn't be again, as we've discussed, I did not attend a second of training camp, so yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if the puke count was at an all-time high betwixt the smoke and the heat.
Mm-hmm. So some different variations to go off of that as well, and also CFL streaming debuted over the weekend. We'll touch on that a little bit as well, and sort of where that could be heading. But before we get into all that, there was a dumb meme I sent to John the other day.
As one often does. As we, again, I feel like 50% of our communication is done during this weekly podcast. Mm-hmm. The other 50% is just memes going back and forth through the week.
More or less. It was... we obviously don't know how true the story is, but really, facts don't matter.
Right.
And it was... The meme basically said, someone bought hot dog buns by mistake, but was meant to make hamburgers, so they shaped hamburgers like a hot dog to make hamdogs. I sent that out to a few people thinking, that's kind of funny. And then I started to think about it. And then John started to think about it. And one of my group chat with some friends started to think about it. And we're all like, you know what? This is actually a really good idea.
Oh, it's a brilliant idea. It's definitely, I would be a little worried with the ham dog. You'd have to make it the right girth.
Well, yeah.
To make sure that it was cooked all the way through. But, there's so many practical applications.
Yeah, and that idea came up too. It's what if you made it too thick and it was undercooked in the middle? I'm like, well, you could do that with a patty as well. So
100%. I mean, who hasn't shamefully undercooked a patty, cut it in half, and had to do the walk of shame back to your barbecue? Mm-hmm. One of the local radio stations, actually, no, it was the local station in Lloyd, was talking about the worst walks of shame ever. And I think the recooking walk of shame back to your barbecue after you got everybody at the table ready to eat, and you notice your burgers are pink, you got to go back out. That's the number one. That's past any other walk of shame, in my humble opinion.
It's really there because, and so what made the hamdog so interesting was the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, I think number one, it's a better bacon delivery vehicle.
100%.
You can wrap the bacon all the way around it, and then you got bacon in every bite, rather than do you do the crisscross? Do you break them into pieces and kind of build a little bit of a mesh on top? Like, what do you do? There's so many different ways to put it on top of a burger, and they're not bad. But if you could wrap that entire thing around with bacon, part cook it a little bit in the oven, get it kind of getting there, sort of crispy, and then finish it on the barbecue. Yeah.
Okay, now we're on to something. I agree with you 100%. And then two, you're right. You maximize your bacon and meat bites. Mm. On top of that, I'm just thinking, like, whenever you bite into a good cheeseburger, it kind of gets slidey, and the lettuce goes everywhere, and the tomato, and like next thing you know, your burger sauce or whatever you put on there is gone. This way, you could actually put the cheese on top. It would melt into the bun. You could put your burger sauce on that. I think I've just figured out what I'm making for supper on Friday.
Fair enough. And I mean, it has its limitations. Like some of the fancier burgers with lots of different toppings and that sort of stuff, I don't really know how far you could go with it. But in terms of like sort of your basic burger, like if you want to get like bougie and do a lot of weird things, you maybe still need to stick with the patty. But if you're just kind of putting some cheese, maybe a little bit of, bacon, maybe even you could do like a really good like chili dog style basically.
Oh, yeah.
On there. There's a lot of different toppings you could still put on it, like all your sort of basics, but yeah, I'm thinking this is something I think we all are going to have to attempt at some point here.
Almost certainly, especially the bacon wrap. The bacon wrap gets to me because I feel like your bacon wrapped hot dogs, like the juice just slides off the greasy dog, and like I feel like the beef would absorb it. So yes, ham dogs wrapped in bacon are going to happen. There might even be a video, I would say. Now, see, it's funny talking about all this, burger stuff, as I'm sure me, like many people, had my first like family barbecue of the year this weekend. Mm-hmm. Problem was, I had spent the afternoon cleaning out the garage, setting up a pool for the kids. So like by the time it was cooking time, I'm like, that's it. I found Uno IPA on sale. And by the time I got to making burger sauce, 3 of those Unos were down. And I had my usual basic ingredients, like your mayo, your relish. But Joel, I don't know how I did it because I never measure, but I made the best GD burger sauce I've ever made in my life.
Oh, yeah?
And I was drunk and I don't remember how I did it.
Did you put hoisin in it?
No, there was no hoisin in the burger sauce, but I can assure you, unlike the hoisin in a Caesar disaster.
That might have actually tasted okay, yeah.
Oh, and this wasn't like I'm drunk, this tastes great. Like, I took it for lunch the next day and I'm like, holy shit, this is good burger sauce. I ate it again today, and I'm like, holy shit, I wish I knew what I put in this, for it is my forever elusive burger sauce. Like, and it's
well,
not
you know what's going to have to happen then is you're going to have to grab another 4-pack of Uno. I know, it's terrible. Drink 3 of them, and then maybe you'll be in the right state of mind to do it again.
Right. No, that's a brilliant
It's like
plan.
that's what always works in the movies, right? Like people forget stuff, and then they're like, "Oh wait, I was drunk when I did it, or I was high when I did it. Surely then I will remember, right?"
No, certainly. It's like it's like that one Jackie Chan movie where he's like he gets drunk and he's a kung fu master. Mm-hmm. This is why I have 2 windows open. This is Jackie Chan drunk movie. It is The Drunken Master, a 1978 action comedy. We have the most obscure movie reference of the year already done.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to come from you regardless, so, yeah.
And it's funny, I'm not even that big of a movie guy. I just, honestly, every weekend when Dad was home, we go to the old Atikokan video store, and we'd go past all the new releases. We'd go past all the family movies, and we'd find whatever the fuck Jackie Chan was in, and that's what we watched. I was a little
worried about where that story was going. Not gonna lie.
You were thinking you were gonna have to edit me for the first time ever?
No, I probably would have left it in, but we went past the new releases, we went past the family section, we went through the beaded wall, and
The worst part was, okay, this was only legend because they didn't have the beaded wall in Atikokan, growing up in middle and nowhere, Northern Ontario. Yeah. Apparently, you had to ask the clerks for the porn. I never did. I was never old enough before the video store closed. But apparently, the rumor was around town. You could go up and be like, hey, excuse me, Mr. Clerk, that I went to high school with. I would like some pornography. And then somebody knew. Somebody had to watch. Like, no self-serve checkout, what you were getting in the small town of Atikokan, Ontario. Grammy, I'm sorry for that story.
A team that is hoping that is not sorry for their story this year will be the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I don't know how you just turned me talking about small town porn rentals into a transition, but god damn it, Gasson. Well,
I mean, it's there, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah, camp's well underway. Trevor Harris won't be playing this week. A few different odds and ends to get throughout the course of camp so far, and the CFL through, I guess, half a week, quarter of a week, a sort of week of the preseason. I don't know, whatever you want to call the weird first
hot
game.
Minute.
The weird first preseason game that they have to play after the first week because there's 9 teams in this league. Yeah.
But technically, on the internet, they're calling it week 1.
Sure.
Let's go with that.
But before we get into all that, as usual, John, if you've forgotten what we've been talking about, what is in the glass this week?
I was lazy. I'm almost out of vodka, which is a shocker in this house, I know. So on the way home from a very long workday, I grabbed a Lucky Bastard Zero Sugar Saskatoon Berry Iced Tea. I like now that, like, society's kind of accepted that even as, like, oh, I'm big, manly man, I drink beer. A guy can just go in and pick up a 6-pack of these things and just enjoy them, too, without, like, judgment. And I can come on the pod and be like, listen, these are great. There's no sugar. And they were just on sale at Sobeys Liquor. So, yeah, they're fantastic. Give them a try.
They're selling like hotcakes now. Like,
oh my God, I had such a hard time finding them today. Like, I know there's always ample supply if you actually head to the distillery, but like tonight I went into Sobeys and they had been moved from like right out front in the cooler section to kind of by like shitty Alberta mock craft beer because there was just that few of them. So they are selling like the proverbial hotcake, rightfully so. They taste great.
12 packs coming soon. From my understanding, they're going to be a pretty good price on the shelf as well. So keep an eye out for that. For me, in honor, I guess, I didn't really plan it this way, but it worked out, of the pending closure of the original 9 Mile Legacy taproom, where John and I have, of course, shared a few beers over the years.
A couple, yep.
Fret not. One of the OGs in this province is not closing. They opened a new brewery a number of months ago, and they've been looking to sort of bring someone into that tap room, hoping someone would kind of take over the space as is and do something with it. I guess they weren't successful on that front, so it's just going to kind of go out on the open market now. Hopefully something cool goes in there, but I guess we'll have to see. I assume there'll be another tap room opening at their new location, which isn't far from their current location.
Yes.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that. New cool things on the way from 9 Mile. For me, I grabbed a pack for the weekend of the Humans versus Robots.
Ooh.
So this is a thing they did a few weeks ago, or I guess probably longer than that when they actually brewed the beer. So basically, they asked ChatGPT, whatever the heck it's called. I'm so with it these days.
The thing that's going to take over the world like Skynet.
The AI ask AI a question and it comes up with something thing. To come up with a recipe. So like basically they asked people what kind of beers to make. So they asked for a fruited goza. They asked the AI what, sort of to spit out a recipe for this thing.
Yes.
With some tweaks, because apparently the original recipe was 11%, which I would have been okay with, but I understand why they maybe toned that down a bit for the masses.
11% goza, I could only imagine. God, that would be dangerous.
So basically, they came up with a recipe. Their head brewer came up with a different recipe. More or less, it basically comes down to the robots decided that we were going to make a Saskatoon berry version, and the human version is one with rhubarb ginger.
Ooh.
Rhubarb ginger, and of course, most gozas have coriander and salt already in them, so that's kind of where that led. For me, I enjoyed the human version just because it's more of like it was more of a little bit of a unique and interesting flavor than Saskatoon, which is flavored in many products. And I just found it a little more interesting, a little lighter, and just a little more refreshing, a little drier too, which I also like in a beer.
So you were siding with the humans.
Absolutely. I may be biased as a human, though.
No, but that's also fair. But the robots will find you and vaporize you when the uprising inevitably happens, Joel.
It's fine. This planet's increasingly unlivable anyway, so I mean.
So like you're not talking about, you're not going to be like one of the last survivors in like the Terminator movies. You're just going to be like, all right, cool.
For what? Like for what purpose, really? Like, that's honestly, like if something comes and invades Earth and humans are screwed, I don't want to fight to the end. Who cares? If we're going to lose anyway, what's the point? Let's just get it over with. Like,
and let's face it, everybody goes through like, yeah, I'm going to survive the apocalypse, Mad Max style, and I'm going to shank things and have blades and stuff. No, bud, you're going to die from diarrhea from drinking contaminated water or leftover Subway lettuce.
We know it'll still be there, so.
It would. I mean, the bread would be for sure. What do they say? That's like 10% yoga mat?
Probably. I mean, the chicken will probably be there still too, right? It's not chicken, so.
It's soy, so.
So basically, yeah, the apocalypse is not worth surviving because Subway will be the only thing left.
No Mary Prep. No Cuckoo's Pizza.
No Beaks, no Dandies, no Dark Side Donuts.
No Nestor's Bakery.
No. Nothing.
No chicken fingers at High Key. Yeah.
Fuck,
yeah.
Not even like Boston Pizza, just Subway.
Well, let's face it. Okay, and like I know you and I are support local first, support local all the way, always go local, but I will give kudos to Boston Pizza for knowing what it is.
100%, yep.
You can get a decent meal. They don't tolerate your kids. They welcome your kids, which as a dad is huge. So,
no, I get it.
And even though it's shitty industrial beer, they give it to you in a giant fucking receptacle for very little money in relative terms. So
a number of locations do have a local option in cans too, which is good.
Yes, like the time I found a hazy IPA from Rebellion that literally had dust on the top, but I did not care.
There won't be any dust on Trevor Harris, even though he will not be playing this weekend. The announcement came late last week that, of course, Trevor Harris will not be playing in this game whatsoever. And honestly, even if he was not missing the game because he was expecting the birth of his, I believe, third child, you probably shouldn't have played anyway. So I'm just like, okay, number one, we're going to get this straight out of the way. I'm not saying just because it's a preseason game you shouldn't have played. You'd be hard-pressed to find a game for me where I would say, yeah, you should probably play instead of that. The only time I would maybe get iffy about it, I'm pretty sure he might as well, would probably be the playoffs in the Grey Cup. But any other regular season game, I don't care how important it is, you should be able to figure out a way to win a regular season game without guy, even if he's your starting quarterback.
No, certainly. And anybody that thinks otherwise, that's I got a little violent on Twitter one night, and might have been fueled by some Saskatoon iced teas. But anybody suggesting that this guy should, well, he's already got 2 kids. He shouldn't be, like, come on. Like you said, Gas, it's a preseason game. It's a regular season game. I mean, how many times do you watch, like, the Super Bowl and there's stories like, so-and-so's partner's there with their OBGYN and, like, he might have to go in the middle. Like, if they're talking, like, if a team is legitimately cool with a guy in the middle of a championship game going, like, yo, I gotta go. Like, a preseason game is so irrelevant, and you and I think the same. I don't think, especially in a place like Saskatchewan, where your starting quarterback is your undisputed starter and looked really good in camp from all accounts, there's no need to put him out there for game one, even more so if he's having a kid. And to me, as a guy that's been through that 3 times, I would say the only reasonable excuse would be a Grey Cup game.
Yeah.
Like, even a playoff game, like, it just, it means so much more, and anybody anybody that's out there that says otherwise has never been through it, and because that shit changes your life. And this is me speaking to you a little bit, too, as, you've got this coming in July.
Oh, no.
The second it happens, nothing else matters. You hold your baby son or daughter for the first time, and it's just, holy shit. Nothing matters. And why do you smell like poop?
Yeah, I mean, and in fairness, I haven't gone back and looked too much at sort of the comments, but I saw a couple. But for the most part, the comments I saw on the initial post on the 3 Down Twitter account were all fairly positive. Some of them seemingly just for the reason that it was a preseason game, but hey, whatever. The reason's the reason, right, and that's fine. So ultimately, yeah, I think even had the scenario not played out, maybe he plays a couple series at most. I understand you generally want to put the guy in at home a little bit rather than versus the road, but that's just the way the schedule worked out for them this year. And I mean, the guy's a 15-year vet or whatever at this point. I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference, even if it is like a new team and a new offense, but it's a new offense that everyone's learning at the same time, not just one that he has to learn. So I think that sort of helps a little bit that they're all figuring this out in practice together versus, I could probably use a few game reps because y'all know what you're doing and I don't.
Well, and that's exactly it. And I mean, we've joked about it right here in this space that the first preseason game is essentially what your future mortgage broker or insurance agent is going to have his jersey framed from that one game he played before he gets cut. Like, let's face it, like that first preseason game, you're not even looking for execution. You're just looking for a guy or two to stand out and get some tape on some guys and make decisions on those guys. So again, we've talked about it, and feel free, anybody that's out there, call me out on social media, but I can't think of a guy that won a job in preseason that was a veteran outside of Corey Sheets in the past decade.
If people are dieting now more than ever before, then why are nearly 1 in 3 American adults overweight? Dr. Gundry, who's helped thousands lose weight and feel younger and healthier than ever, says most people are not getting enough fat-burning MCTs from their food. MCTs are a special kind of compound that instead of turning into fat when you consume it, turns into ketones, which is a chemical that breaks down the excess fat in your body. So, by getting more MCTs in your diet, you essentially flip a switch that puts your body in caloric bypass mode, which can flush out excess fat and calories. And he's created an easy way for you to activate caloric bypass right at home. It's called MCT Wellness. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. I love how incredible it tastes. All you do is add a scoop to water, enjoy, and watch as you start feeling slimmer and more energized. So, if you want to experience a quick, easy, and effective way to melt pounds fast, go to CountryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy. Why are so many dogs suffering from health issues? Actress Katherine Heigl, who's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, says she's seeing more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to support any dog's health: their food. So she decided to create something she could actually feel good about feeding her dogs. It's called Superfood Complete. Superfood Complete is made with over 30 of the healthiest ingredients on the planet, including several superfoods vital to your dog's health. Badlands Ranch also sponsors the Jason Debus Heigl Foundation, which has helped rescue thousands of dogs and place them in loving homes. Dogs across America are trying this food and experiencing amazing health benefits. Go to badlandsranch.com/save50 and order right now to get up to 50% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want your dog to experience all these incredible things, go to badlandsranch.com/save50 today.
That's the sound of your current hype level at the gas pump. But brace yourself for something fuel-nominal, because Unleaded 88 is about to take the hype to a whole new level. Unleaded 88 is cheaper, cleaner, and greener than regular unleaded. Plus, it's homegrown, making Unleaded 88 the clear choice at the pump and totally worth the hype. So pump it up with Unleaded 88, brought to you by Iowa Corn.
Right, so, I mean, I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but it's pretty irrelevant.
The one spot where I think it maybe isn't super irrelevant is if Craig Dickinson and what everyone is saying is true, is that it is a completely wide open battle for the backup quarterback, then I think it makes even more sense that you basically don't play Trevor Harris, because the other three guys are the guys you need to figure out right now.
Right.
You kind of have an idea of what you're looking at in Mason Fine, so maybe you give him the first quarter, see if he's still at a level you think he is, or where he would go from there. Jake Dolegala, from a lot of accounts, sounds to like he's having a pretty good camp.
Yep.
And same with Shea Patterson, sort of a guy who was okay at Michigan, I guess you could say. So I mean, between the three of them, mostly Levi Lewis was cut recently, so you're down to those three guys realistically kind of battling for probably maybe 2, maybe 3 spots, depending on how they want to. Maybe all 4 of them can fit with the practice roster. Who knows?
Right.
But I that's kind of what you want to look at. So you're probably looking at, maybe I would say, this is how I would break down the game. I'd probably do a quarter of Mason Fine. I'd do a quarter and a bit of Jake in the second quarter into the third, and then I would let Shea Patterson finish out the game, and then you maybe have a better idea at that point who your number 2 going into the season is. And it's, okay, maybe Mason Fine got the least amount of time, but you kind of already know what you have in that, and you just see if the other 2 guys can beat him out.
Well, that's exactly it, and you see who's going to be the best. And to quote, was this Chamberlain or Jones that always just say when the bullets are flying or when the bodies are flying, right? I think that was a Corey Chamberlain line, but
sounds way too many words for Chris Jones.
It's not a grunt. It's not a grunt as he texts one of the local morning TV hosts. So, you do have to see what you have in these guys, but even like Dolegala was with the team last year. You got a pretty good idea of Fine. I mean, he was fine last year. So, yeah, that's what your first preseason game should be about, and working on your young guys, and for me, seeing what the young guys on the offensive line and your draft picks, and getting their future jerseys for when they're trying to sell you something down the line.
One of the more interesting things, I guess, that's come out of camp so far, every year they've started doing the State of the Team address up in Saskatoon now during camp, which gives the fans up there sort of an opportunity to interact with Craig Dickinson, Jeremy O'Day, and Craig Reynolds on a level they don't always get to do it, because the AGM's always here in August, I believe. So that's and the
AGM is more about business and less about football. Like this, the State of the Team thing is kind of a nice blend of both.
Yeah, so a few little interesting tidbits to come out of that, of course. Lots of football talk, obviously, when you get the fans involved, and that's fine. There's kind of a weird sort of thing going on right now organizationally with this team, where in some regards I feel like they're getting it a bit, and in others maybe they're not quite there yet, and we'll get into that in a second. But there's a couple of things they've done which I think are going to be quite interesting to track what kind of difference they make, and it's obviously not just one of these things. It's a combination of things that is going to refill the building. It's never just one thing.
Right.
And that's, of course, they've decided that they've trimmed the prices on about 9,000 tickets, so about a third of the stadium has seen a price reduction.
Which I absolutely love, and I think that is a giant first step, and it's weird that that's something that we discussed in the pod, and then we discussed outside of the pod that actually happened. So I love to see the team making that step and going that direction. To me, it's huge to watch them listen to the fans and react to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they didn't really have much of a choice, and obviously lots of people were talking about this because it was pretty much the same. What they averaged last year, 26, so it was about the same 7,000 tickets that went unsold pretty much every game. So there's your 9 there. If you drop those prices a bit, maybe you sell a few more of them. I don't think it's going to be the point where it's going to sell out every game suddenly because it's a little cheaper up there, but that's kind of, I would imagine they're thinking in this one. Okay, maybe we can get a few more butts and seats if these undesirable tickets are a little cheaper. And the other thing they announced, we have not seen sort of the details of what's what here, but every sort of concession stand will have at least one $5 item.
That's awesome.
Which I assume is not a drink, but like food.
No, but like if it's a $5 hot dog or a $5 popcorn, it's just something that like when you bring the kids, and parenting is one part salespeople.
Yeah.
You know, the kids are like, I want the foot dog hot dog. Well, how about you have the $5 nachos instead, right? Like things like that make it more affordable when you get into the building is also a huge step, right? Like I've been blessed in my ability to not pay for tickets often while I've been to sporting events here in Saskatchewan. I've got lots of connections and things like that, so I often haven't had to pay for tickets, which is amazing. But I still drop $100. Like by the time I have a beer and I feed the kids, and you know it's a special treat for the kids, so they want to go and they want to eat, they want to have nachos and everything. So if there's like a $5 item that I can just shove in their faces, hot dog, nachos, whatever, popcorn, that's awesome. That's a huge step forward, and I'm a huge fan. But watch out if that somehow somebody goofs and puts $5 craft beers on there. I'm gonna be like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm just gonna hand them my credit card and throw up my hands and crush them and drink them like I'm Stone Cold.
Yeah, I don't assume that one's gonna happen. So.
But imagine if it did, Gas. Could you imagine if somehow somebody goofed and we get $5 white IPAs?
It would be splendid. I mean, it wouldn't help me much when you're there as accredited media, it says on the back you're not allowed to drink. So
see, that's the funny thing is that's why I've never once gotten my credentials, and it sounds like I might actually be in the building for the home opener wearing my Sergio jersey. So if anybody I know, Dave, Jock, Grammys and Atticoke, come up, say hi. I'll be the one guy with a Sergio jersey, drinking a lot of beer.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, a couple steps forward in that regard. We'll have to see kind of how it all works out. But on the other end of it, and it's not necessarily this is something the Riders have announced recently, but it's sort of what we're seeing other teams doing and looking back here and being like, The Alouettes announced their home opener halftime act. And it's, of course, going to be Our Lady Peace. The first official band of Mosaic Stadium, as they played here about 10 times in a year.
But they're still so good. I love Our Lady Peace.
For sure. The BC Lions, I believe, are having like a 2-day block party down Robson by BC Place, which includes a headliner of the Trues. And I've heard from some people, I haven't actually looked it up myself yet, that they've kind of still been teasing their home opener halftime act to maybe even be bigger than that, obviously. So what we're saying is here, okay, these aren't necessarily, this isn't One Republic. This isn't like One Republic. This isn't like these gigantic worldwide bands. But they are bands that say people under the age of, 50, 60 might be interested in and may have kids that they may bring to the stadium that day, that they may in turn eventually turn into fans if they're able to continue bringing them to said stadium.
Right. See, and that's the thing. You see a lot of people going, halftime's not going to bring anybody in. It's not going to not bring anybody in.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, and again, kudos like the Riders with some of their videos and with the lowering of ticket prices and the cheap food options. Kudos to all that. But I still think it's like radio here in Saskatoon. People don't realize that dads now, we're in our 30s and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we grew up on, I remember going to the bar. Oh, my Ontario came out there.
I remember that ever. Oh,
holy crap. Berry iced teas are pretty good. Going to the bar, and like, you heard the Trues and stuff. I went to lots of Trues shows, partied at them, all great through my formative years. Our Lady Peace, of course, like, and again, I see this as a guy that enjoys Kim Mitchell,
mm-hmm.
but like, you almost need to realize that my dad probably enjoys Kim Mitchell more, and he's 60 now, right? Like,
yeah,
you need to bring in the Our Lady Peace, the Trues, like that. That's the kind of people you need to bring in to just give that extra little carrot to get people out to bring their kids, right? Like, I know my kids love live music. They want to see more bands, and it's hard when it's not the stuff that I'm listening to in my car every single day with the kids there, right? So I again, the Riders have done mostly good stuff in all of this. I'm going to enjoy watching Kim Mitchell the home opener. I'm not going to lie. But I do think that I'm the minority, being 36 years old and enjoying a Kim Mitchell concert.
I mean, not necessarily, but it just kind of misses the mark sort of on where the league needs to be going. And again, it's not just one thing. It's not one concert that's going to fix everything, obviously. No. It's a culmination of things where all of it kind of comes together and eventually it starts to work. And I mean, we'll have to see. Maybe we'll be proven wrong. Maybe the Kim Mitchell thing will be great to bring sort of some disenfranchised fans from the last couple of years who are maybe a little older that are core season ticket people back. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe maybe that matters, and maybe they have some other things up their sleeve that they're waiting to announce that will sort of veer off that path a little bit.
See, okay, and you're not wrong on that, Gas, because, it's no secret Craig Reynolds and I had a conversation after the home opener about some of the things they can track, and I do think a lot of it was your rural fans that weren't coming out to the games en masse like they used to, so maybe that does get some of the people from small towns out, because, let's face it, I mean, your music tastes a little different in a small town. I thought Bon Jovi was revolutionary playing hockey for the Atikokan Voyageurs back in the, late 90s, early 2000s, so.
Mm-hmm. Now, you did mention that you could be at this game. And if you appeared at this game,
yes,
you would be doing so in your Sergio jersey.
Of course. There's no other jersey I can wear now, right? Like, that's got to be the one I got to rock. Riders, Bombers, I got to ride up. I'm going to crush beers. I will, I will be there. I'm going to make the bold proclamation, considering I just booked tickets on a ride there and back, that I will be there in my Sergio jersey.
Mm-hmm. And I bring that up because it seems another team has fallen victim to the cutting Sergio curse. And granted, it was a preseason game.
Doesn't matter.
But the Edmonton Elks, their kicker missed a kick that was fairly easy right before halftime. And to tell you, I mean, we saw this in Winnipeg all last year. We've seen this in the past when teams had left Sergio completely unsigned. But not signing or moving on from Sergio rarely ends well.
And I love the fact that after the Edmonton Elks kicker misses a couple kicks in the preseason opener, the man that they went, you're cheaper, you're good, come on in, and got rid of our boy Sergio. I love the fact that the first day of Bomber camp, Sergio is out there hitting like 56, 57-year-old yard nukes. Like, just hitting bombs, according to everybody in attendance. So happy for that. I sent Sergio a message. I said, glad to see you're back in blue. I felt dirty cheering for you last year, because I really did, because I hate Chris Jones.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I was able to witness that miss kick thanks to CFL Preseason Live, I believe they're calling it. I know you didn't see the game because you were busy familying.
Yes.
And I have to say, though, I was actually fairly pleasantly surprised. And I think that's sort of the theme of that whole thing that came across, because this was sort of our first foray into sort of the CFL Plus, at least what we're going to get in Canada, out of the 6 preseason games that will not be on TSN or RDS. And it was okay. Like, for the price, like, basically all you do, you go to CFL.ca, you click, there's I believe under the video tab or something, you click where it says CFL Preseason Live. There's a prompt to put in your name and an email, and then boom, there's the stream.
It's under schedule, for the record.
Yeah, wherever it was. Yeah, I found it. It was pretty easy.
Now, see, I'm glad that it was okay, but
and the quality itself was fine. I mean, we're sort of at the mercy of what cameras are in stadiums right now, which are generally pretty good. And I mean, the sound was just CHQR, but it was all synced up fine. There was a little bit of a weird hiccup at the start where there was the radio feed going on, so you had all the commercials and different things happening. There was a live mic in the booth, I believe. Maybe that's how the sound synced up better, so you could hear them. There was nothing bad going on, but you could hear the odd thing being said. And then they had the mic of the anthem going on all at the same time, and I was like, uh-oh. But then by the time
is this what I'm getting?
By the time the game actually started, though, everything was fine. No real issues. I guess there was a couple of minor hiccups in terms of most of the breaks they put up one of those sort of generic sort of graphic things that says the stream will return and after the break or whatever. They missed it a couple of times on the other end of it, so you could tell because the radio broadcast was going. So you'd hear like the radio commercials through the break, and then you would hear the broadcast return, and you hear it play, and you'd be like, But I mean, that happens. It's fine. No big deal on that end. But yeah, I mean, for a preseason game, for the price, for everything, I was like, yeah, that wasn't half bad.
And again, my familying was, okay, no problem. What I'm going to do, I'm going to have a nice relaxing day, going to set up the pool for the kids, maybe putts around in the backyard. Then I found a mummified mouse in my garage and had to do a deep clean of it. So that's why I didn't get to watch it. But I did want to piggyback on that a little bit.
Yeah.
This is great for us here in Canada that we can take in all the CFL preseason games, but it sounds like this is going to be the way to go for most of the games in the States that aren't on CBS Sports Network. And it sounds like an unmitigated disaster.
Well, it's just going to be the TSN feed on at that point.
No, I mean, the TSN feed's going to be good.
Yeah.
But what I mean by a disaster is the fact that there's no app. There's no smart TV app. So you got to watch on your desktop computer on your phone, and I reached out to...
I mean, and like the video player that they were using didn't have like Chromecast support or anything like that, but I mean, I casted the tab to my Chromecast, so it's not as good, but it was still fine.
Right. So it's there's a workaround, but a couple of complaints that, and I reached out to, believe it or not, I have friends, and I have friends across the international border. So I reached out to a couple of my buddies on Twitter, and the big thing is A, the no smart TV app, and B, no games on demand. So you have no way to watch
Yeah.
when the game's over. Right. So I know we were happy about the CBS, largely happy about the CBS Sports Network deal and going, hey, there's some money there for it. It's going to grow. But to me, it just seems like, okay,
we were happy with it depending on what they followed it up with.
Right. And to me, they just shat their pantaloons.
Yeah. Clearly, I would gather that they probably got sort of a take it or leave it offer from ESPN that was essentially probably close to the same deal that they already had from them before. So they passed on it and couldn't find anything else, is my guess. Maybe the CW came knocking, but they didn't want to be on the same place as Live Golf. And
who would broadcast something in the same place as Live Golf? Sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah. And so this is kind of where they ended up. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe into the future there's some improvements on this, because I mean, if you're an American CFL fan, the fact that it's free is phenomenal.
Yes.
I'm not smart enough to understand how they monetize that. Maybe there is a way for them to string some revenue out of it. I don't know. I don't know if it's enough to really make much of a difference, but I guess that's for them to figure out, not me.
Fanatics will buy ad space. Fanatics buys ad space on everything.
I mean, I guess this is what Genius Sports is for, is they should probably figure this stuff out, right? So, so I mean, that's okay. So that's great, but I don't see a scenario where, all the CFL games are free on CFL.ca if you're in the United States, but other than the people you already have, how many are going to travel to CFL.ca to watch football games? I don't know.
Well, that's exactly it. You have to make it easily accessible. Them not putting it behind a paywall is good because you're not going to lose fans. I know in my many years of working in and out of the National Lacrosse League, adding a paywall was an absolute disaster for viewership. And removing it was okay, but you're right. Your hardcores, you have to make it accessible, and maybe you're watching a CBS Sports Network and you're like, okay, yeah, I'll stream this game on my laptop, but it just seems like, especially with smart TVs having every app under the sun these days, seems like a bit of a ball drop that you have to find a bit of a workaround to stream it.
Yeah, if you're gonna do this, you need to go all in, and it should easily be accessible through the CFL app. Is that even still a thing? I don't know. And then at the very least, there should be these supported, sort of streaming services through whatever video player they need to use on the website. So there should be probably a sort of a different website from it all together. You go on, you log in, you do the video. There should be archives as well, and the archives should be available to everyone, frankly. And then it should have either your Chromecast, your Fire Stick, your Apple TV, whatever you're using. you should be able to stream it right onto that from the video player rather than doing some other sort of weird, hack around to make that work.
Right. Yeah, you have to make it easy. And it's almost like a challenge for us young fans that we're going to find a way to make it work. But they should be making it easier. But it's funny that something that's happening in Canada, that we're getting the preseason games finally, getting the streams of all of them, which is cool, is also like a failure in the US where they're just burying it. And again, like only your hardcore fans, same thing, are watching the preseason streams. Like even me, being Captain Bomber fan, will probably not be watching the stream. I'll just be listening on the radio while I do yard work for the preseason game betwixt my Bombers and the Riders.
Yeah, I mean, the Stamps Elks game, I tuned into the first half, and then there was a weather delay in the middle of halftime, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this now.
So that game, so funny story, that game took so long that I went from, I'm just going to sort out the garage a little bit, to, oh my God, I found a dead mouse, to, I'm half done preparing a barbecue for my family. It's a bit of a long one.
That's a long game.
That's what she said.
Want a website with unmatched power, speed, and control? Try Bluehost Cloud, the new web hosting plan from Bluehost, built for WordPress creators by WordPress experts. With 100% uptime, incredible load times, and 24/7 WordPress priority support, your sites will be lightning fast with global reach. And with Bluehost Cloud, your sites can handle surges in traffic no matter how big. Plus, you automatically get daily backups and world-class security. Get started now at Bluehost.com.
Save big on all your back-to-school needs, all in the Baker's app. Get tender USDA Choice untrimmed beef brisket for $2.99 per pound, limit 2. Then get 10 for $10 during our sale on items like Lay's Stacks, Rice-A-Roni, and Sparkling Ice Sparkling Water, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Baker's, less than 10 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Baker's app to save big today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details.